Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 536.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about are gold, silver, and precious metals ready to take off? This is a short article from Yahoo Finance, so it's going to be over pretty quickly, and I thought this would be a great time to share with you some of the reviews that people have been writing because I love seeing the progress that people are making in their life. Just from applying the podcast or applying the principles in my book, it's amazing to hear from you and hear what kinds of things you're accomplishing. So I wanted to share that with you at the end of this, and we will get to that in just one moment. It says that this article on Yahoo Finance was originally published on ETFtrends.com, and it doesn't tell us who wrote the article. And it says, gold and gold miner ETFs are shining through the murky markets as traders turn to the safe haven in response to the weak U.S. payroll data and weakening global economic outlook. Among the best performing ETFs of Friday, the ETF MG Junior Silver Miners ETF, symbol SILJ, advanced 2.5%. VanEck Vector's Gold Miners ETF, GDXJ, rose 3.9%, and Sprott Gold Miners ETF, symbol SGDM, added 2.5%, and VanEck Gold Miners ETF, GDX, gained 2.4%. So I just want to pause there and say, yes, we had this amazing performance in the precious metals on Friday, and that was in response to weak U.S. payroll data and a weakening global economic outlook. We're going to talk a little bit about why that is, and the article will go on to explain some of that, and I'll make my comments too. But it's really interesting that we're seeing a nice pattern, and it doesn't always hold true, but we're seeing a nice pattern where a lot of times when the market does decline, the precious metals are moving up. And so it's a nice hedge to have in your portfolio, some of these precious metals, just a small amount, a smidge, if you will, in your portfolio to combat some of that downward pressure from the stock market and from your other asset classes that you might have. So it's, again, it doesn't work 100% of the time inversely to the market, but I'd say there's roughly around a 60% correlation if I had to guess off the top of my head. The article goes on to say, COMEX gold futures rose 1% to $1,299.50 per ounce, and COMEX silver futures increased 2% to $15.40 per ounce. Traders turned to the gold markets after the Labor Department revealed U.S. job growth almost stalled in February, with the economy adding only 20,000 jobs, compared to expectations of non-farm payroll increase by 180,000 jobs. We saw a surprisingly weak non-farm jobs number that pressured the dollar and the U.S. stock markets, which in turn supported the rally in gold, Jim Wyckoff, senior analyst at Kitco Metals, told CNBC. Gold is going to be influenced by the dollar index. So I want to pause there and just say that yes, there were expectations for jobs to be added in the neighborhood of 180,000, and a very small number of jobs came in at 20,000. Now, there are a couple reasons why people are saying the jobs number came in so low. Part of that was because a lot of the country had severe snowfall and cold weather, so people were not out and about as much. Maybe they weren't looking for jobs. Maybe they weren't going on interviews and looking for jobs so much. And also because of the government shutdown. These two things are rather temporary things that might skew the jobs market a bit. And also, in the past, the jobs market tends to get revised up. So the first number comes out, and then they really look at actual numbers, and it gets revised upward. So we might see a little bit of an upward bounce from the 20,000, but still, it's such a small number. I don't think we're going to see a huge bounce up from that. But I do think it was due to these temporary factors that are kind of one-off events. I don't think it's the sign of a bigger trend, if you will, which is what you always want to look for. Is this the beginning of something that's a material happening in the market that is going to cause weakening and going to cause an economic slowdown? Or is it something that's just a one-off event that likely won't be repeated? The article goes on to say, the US dollar index, which tracks the US dollar's moves against a basket of widely observed global currencies, dipped 0.3% to 97.3. Gold prices have exhibited an inverse correlation to the US dollar, so gold would typically rise when the dollar weakens. So I want to pause there and say I agree with that. The prices of gold and precious metals typically move inversely to the dollar rather than inversely to the stock market. That's why I was saying it's roughly only maybe a 60% correlation to the stock market moving inversely, but it moves more inversely to the US dollar. So as the dollar weakens, gold and precious metals tend to go up. And that's what we saw on Friday. The article goes on to say, growth in the US is going to slow as the country has reached full employment and productivity is very high, so there isn't much space for growth. And we're coming to an end of the Federal Reserve's rate cycle, which should weaken the dollar further, Natixis analyst Bernard Dada told CNBC. So I want to pause there and say, yes, we may have reached full employment in the US, and maybe there's not a lot of growth. We are coming to the end of the Federal Reserve's rate cycle, meaning they've turned very dovish. They have decided to stop raising rates for now. They have turned dovish, and because of that, that is also good news for precious metals. Higher interest rates tend to support a higher dollar. So if you're not raising interest rates, then you're not supporting a higher dollar, which means the dollar will be allowed to fall, which means metals can go up. He's also saying the Fed could potentially lower interest rates if the economic data comes in weak enough in future months. That would be very bullish for gold and silver. The article goes on to say, I don't think this particular report alone will alter the Fed's monetary policy, Wyckoff added. If we get a string of weak numbers next couple of months, then that's a different story. But right now, that 20,000 rise in non-farm is an anomaly. End of article. So they're saying they don't think that we're going to continue to get these weak jobs numbers, but if we do start to get weak job numbers in the next few months, then that could mean that the Fed will change its policy from just not raising rates to actually lowering rates. And like I just said, if they do that, then that's very bullish for gold and silver. But right now, it just looks like a one-off crazy month due to weather, due to the government shutdown, kind of made the numbers an anomaly, and we're not expecting this to be a trend. The last thing I'll say about this is that we also are just hitting the 10-year anniversary of the bull market in stocks. So from the lows that happened in March 2009 until March of 2019, we have been in a bull market. And that means that this market is getting long in the tooth. It's getting very extended for the typical bull market, which means we're due for that more serious decline than we've seen in a while. Precious metals also tend to do well when there's uncertainty, when there's fear, when people are running to something safer. It can often be that precious metals will benefit from that, just like gold benefited in 2008 when the Standard & Poor's 500 dropped by 38%. And gold was up that year, the only asset class to have a positive return. So having said all of that, that's why I like less than 10%, but around somewhere between 5 and 10% of your portfolio to have some precious metals in it. And I think we're seeing that things are lining up for potential for precious metals to be able to move higher from here. All right, I wanted to share with you some of the reviews that I've received because I'm so proud of these people who have left reviews, who have gotten great results, who are accomplishing great things. And first, I just have to say thank you for taking the time to write a review. And I just want to share your success with other people. All right, and our first one is called Positively Helpful in Every Way. This show has helped me out so much. It helped me get out of $15,000 worth of credit card debt and double my net worth in 1 year. It also helped me with my mindset in other areas of my life and not just financial. Such great advice and positive energy. I can really tell you are fulfilling God's purpose in life and helping so many people. Thank you. Wow. Well, thank you, Cap J. I so appreciate that. Congratulations for putting what you learned to use and getting out of credit card debt and doubling your net worth in a year. That's awesome. I love it. The next review says, Linda gives me hope. I've been listening to Linda's podcast since the beginning and have learned so much. I'm someone who struggles with understanding finances, and I'm more of a creative than a mathematical thinker. But having said that, I've always been drawn to and fascinated by the stock market and the opportunities it provides. I love that Linda teaches how to look at the world of finance from both a macro and micro view. Her podcasts about creating a money mindset are what really hooked me, in addition to her recommendation to read Think and Grow Rich, which has a bit of a spiritual aspect to it. That's my language. Thank you, Linda, for all that I've learned from you. You make me feel that wealth is a true possibility for me. Awesome. Well, it is a possibility for you, and it's a possibility for everyone who listens to the podcast. And that's why I try to take the angle of being a wealth mentor, because I really want you to be able to take what I'm teaching you and put it into practice. It's not just entertainment or an interview to pass the time or make your commute go by faster, but really things that you can put into practice, put into your life, and really make some progress. That's what I love. And so congratulations to you for doing that. The next one says Real and Practical by Montana. Love how to the point and knowledgeable Linda is. Her topics are current and spot on. They are each filled with a ton of useful information that is practical and easy to follow. You won't be disappointed with this podcast. Thank you so much. I love it. I love making everything very practical. The next one says, Awesome. I started listening to this podcast a few months ago, and I really appreciate the information shared. Linda seems really kind and genuine. Aw, thank you. I have been trying to find a mentor to help me reach financial freedom, and as I've been looking, her mentoring through this podcast has been extremely helpful. Thank you, Linda. Awesome. Well, that's great, and I'm so glad that you are putting it to practice. The next one says, Combining podcast and Kindle version. I've been listening for not too long. I just bought the Kindle version of the book to use them together to better my knowledge and situation. I love the podcast. The episodes are not full of fluff. I like that they are not long drawn episodes. They are perfect for my short attention span. Well, Iggy, that's awesome. And thank you for taking the time to make a review. And I'm glad that you are using the book as a way to support the podcast and vice versa. They go really well together. I think you're going to love it. The next one says, I've really enjoyed listening. Kinda does a great job of having topics that reach people at any level of financial success, whether you are a beginner or already started on your financial journey. Awesome. I do try to reach all levels of people, and it's not that I'm dumbing it down, it's just that I'm simplifying things to take out all the lingo and jargon that overcomplicate things. The next one says, Be Wealthy and Smart. Most informative podcast I've ever listened to. Wow, thanks, Marcy. That's really cool. I appreciate that. The next one says, Short and Sweet. Great podcast that helps navigate all the flashy wealth fads, i.e. Robinhood and related apps, and always brings it back to basics such as paying off debt while providing strong investment advice. Of course, the intro song is one of my favorites, and I'm glad it's the closer too. That's great. Well, there's some controversy. Some people don't like the intro song. As I've explained in the past, I like to use it as an affirmation song and help you have the right kind of mindset. So I'm really glad that you appreciate it. And for people who don't like it, they can just skip through it. The next one says, My net worth is soaring, a must listen. I've been listening to Linda for the last 3 to 4 years while running or on road trips. I've seen my net worth increase to almost $100,000 5 years after college while still enjoying life, growing my income, investing, and traveling. I'm fortunate to have come across her podcast as it is inspiring, motivating, and full of great advice. I know that by investing now, I'll be set to enjoy retirement without financial stress and reach other financial goals like financing a house after the next real estate price drop. I've listened to other financial podcasts, but hers has the most balanced approach to both investing and enjoying life. She really does encourage you to have it all. It is great to have a brilliant wealth mentor who explains everything so clearly and impactful. Thanks, Linda. Well, Roz, thank you. And I had a chance to talk to Roz in our wealth mentoring session that she won. And it was really great to get to know you. And thank you so much for your nice compliments. But really, congratulations goes to you for increasing your net worth to almost $100,000 5 years after college. And I'm so glad that you are putting everything into practice and you're going to be able to buy a house someday. The next review says, love it. I've been listening to Linda's podcast for a few months now. It's been a great education tool for me. Great work. Awesome. Thank you. The next one says, yay for me. Discovering Linda's podcast has helped me with my fear of ending up as a bag lady on the streets. Now my days are full of what can I learn next from Linda. Awesome. And that is a woman's number one fear, is becoming a bag lady. So I totally get that. And I'm glad that I can help you overcome that fear and give you some action steps to move you forward. The next one says, perfect for the newbie. I've been intimidated by the stock market for such a long time, but this year I'm determined to dive in and learn as much as I can. Linda breaks down the process of investing for the novice. I'm not overwhelmed and pinned to Google researching terms. In the same vein, as I grow and as the information gets more complex, I feel Linda does a great job of reaching back to previous knowledge to make sure listeners have a full understanding of the information she's providing. So grateful and thankful for this podcast. Great. Well, and this was written by Prissy Shopper. Thank you, Prissy Shopper. I'm glad as a newbie that you're getting so much out of it. The next one says, wealth of knowledge. I really enjoyed listening to Linda to gain insights into investing and wealth management. As an American living in Belgium, I'm navigating the financial complexity of being an expat and am keen to learn as much as I can on being smart with my money. Well, good for you. And thank you for listening while you're in Belgium. I hope you're spreading the word over there in Belgium. And I'm glad that you're being smart with your money. The next one is called A Must Listen. Linda is an expert in her field and her podcasts are insightful and short but to the point. Her advice is actionable and you don't feel overwhelmed with hard to understand jargon. I found her podcasts very useful and highly recommend them to anyone who is looking to increase their financial intelligence. Becca from DC. Well, thanks, Becca. I really appreciate that. The next one is called Investing. Great podcast for those looking to expand their mindset and learn more about investing. Awesome. The next is called Great Guidance. I have been listening to Linda's podcast for the last few weeks. As a beginner in investing, she kept emphasizing to do your homework and be patient. I learned a few things just by listening to several of her podcasts. Thanks, Linda. Well, good. I'm glad that you're getting into it. And just know that there's a whole library here of things that you can go through and evergreen topics for you to learn from. So dig through the library and start with your mindset and work from there. This one is called The Podcast I Never Knew I Needed. I listen to Linda on my way to and from work, and I even listen when I work out. These podcasts have helped me create a wealthy mindset, and they are super easy to listen to. I love that she gets straight to the point, and she makes investing easy to understand. She has definitely found a lifelong subscriber in me. That's from Brittany. Thank you, Brittany. I love that, and I'm so glad that you're on this journey with me and with all of our audience. Next one says, Outstanding Podcast. Linda is the real deal. Regardless of your investment style, and even if you don't have one, you can benefit from the rock-solid investment and wealth creation wisdom she shares here. I admit I'm a little put off by the for women focus of her website and book, which is why I haven't bought the book, but fortunately this podcast seems applicable to both men and women, and the info is stellar. Hey James, thank you, and thanks for the compliments. I want to encourage you to look at the Wealth Heiress book, because financial topics are not gender specific, just my examples are gender specific. But men are loving the book, and I know you're going to really love it. So I think you should try the Wealth Heiress book. Look at some of the reviews of the book on Amazon. You'll see several from men there who are saying that they have gotten so much out of the book and not to be put off for the fact that it is slanted toward women. The next review says, substantive, smart, and enjoyable. It's like having a glass of wine with a smart friend and discussing investing, your future, and ideas for a good life. I am fluff adverse when it comes to financial advice. I want real information, and this podcast has it. I'm hooked and listen all the time now and enjoy the website for further information. Linda is so open with her life. I love it. Well, thank you, Better Every Day. I really appreciate that. And yes, I think it's important to get to the point too. I hate it when people ramble on podcasts. So thank you. And the last one is Best Podcast on Wealth Building. Linda is the best wealth mentor, hands down. Okay, I'm really blushing right now. Thank you so much. She makes wealth building simple and easy to grow your wealth with easy steps. I like her focus on the wealthy mindset and concepts to formulate a solid plan for your future. She removes the fluff that most podcasts do on building wealth and gives you just the most important things to do to secure a legacy for you and your family. That's from AZ. Thank you, AZ. I appreciate you calling my podcast the best. I love that. And I promise to always be providing actionable things that can really make a difference in your life and your legacy and for you and your family. So thank you for saying all those kind things. I'm a little embarrassed to have read all of those nice compliments about me. It makes me blush. But I also just think it's important for listeners to understand what other listeners are getting out of it, how they're applying it in their life, because I know everyone always needs a little gentle nudge to get you moving and to see what other people are doing and what's possible for you. So I hope this inspired you to put some things into action that you're hearing here, and to get working on paying off debt or get working on your mindset or starting your investments and your compounding, whatever that is. And certainly for the gentleman, not to be afraid of the Wealth Heiress book. Super important, because there is a wealth, no pun intended, of knowledge in there that you need to have. It's an immersion of what we've been covering here on the podcast. So I really feel like it's worth your time and not a lot of money to get that information and apply it. So I just wanted to share all of that with you and say again, thank you to everyone who left a review. We still have our review contest going. Of course, there's 25 prizes to win this month. And you know that there are 11 of my Wealthy Mindset Blueprint audios valued at $197 each. There are 11 Wealth Heiress books to win with me personalizing it for you, and 3 wealth mentoring sessions worth $500 for you to win. All you have to do is write a podcast review. You get your name in the drawing 5 times. A book review gets your name in the drawing 7 times. And if you do both, your name is in the drawing 10 times. And you have a really good chance to win. So definitely you have to enter. And then don't forget to check back and see if you won. There's a lot of winners that I announced the other day that haven't contacted me yet. So make sure and check and see if you are in fact already a winner. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.